Are you looking to take the next step toward investing in commercial real estate but don't know where to go? CRE Central offers a comprehensive education and coaching platform designed to help you get started. Our online courses cover a wide range of topics, from the fundamentals to advanced strategies, ensuring you have the knowledge and skills needed to thrive in this competitive industry. As a member, you'll gain access to our exclusive online community and monthly group coaching calls, providing you with valuable networking opportunities and personalized guidance from experienced professionals. Whether you're a beginner or looking to take your career to the next level, CRE Central has the resources you need. Visit www.crecentral.com to learn more. Welcome back to the Commercial Real Estate Investor Podcast, live from the Cobble Group Studios here in Nashville, Tennessee, for another episode of Office Hours. Whatever questions you've got around commercial real estate, this is a half hour that I'm giving to you to answer them. It has been an interesting 24 hours. I drove back late last night from another town hall meeting out in Rossville, Georgia for the Peerless Mill, getting a little bit ahead of myself, but I will definitely get you guys an update on that. Question of the day. I kind of like the question of the day. We're going to keep this going. What would achieving financial freedom through commercial real estate look like for you? Jack Hall's already jumping in saying achieving financial freedom equals death. Man, we got to get you some commercial properties. We got to get you some passive income if the only way to get that is to die. He's saying there's another deal. There's always another deal, a bigger boat, nicer house, but getting to spend time doing what you want to do, that's the kind of freedom I enjoy. Some days are easier than others. Oh, 100%. I mean, to me, look, I am the opposite of let's get a bigger boat, let's get a nicer house. I mean, I bought a house that was less than a third of what I qualified for. I'm driving a 2019 Tesla that I bought for $57,000. It has 135,000 miles on it, and I will run that thing into the ground. I couldn't care about objects, things, doesn't matter to me. What's cool is getting to go on vacation and spend time with family and do whatever I want and not ever stressing about money. That is financial freedom to me. John Marquette is saying WTF, wealth, time, and freedom, 100%. That's it. WTF, I love it. Jorge saying, good morning, Tyler, wishing you a successful week. Likewise, Jorge, it's going to be a good one. He's saying good morning to all present, best wishes. It's going to be a fun week. Let me catch you guys up on what's been going on for the past couple of weeks because y'all didn't hear from me last week since I was out in Aspen, which was awesome. I've never been to Aspen before. I have been to Colorado. I've been to Denver, been a couple of other places. I mean, it's been a while since I was a little kid. We used to go skiing there. I think, but it was amazing. It's a very small town. It's very interesting flying in there. I'm not a big fan of flying, which is funny because I have to fly all the time. That's a story for another time. But getting into Aspen was really interesting. I mean, everybody's riding bikes everywhere. They're walking everywhere. It's an unbelievably walkable town. But it's also a very flashy town. I was not necessarily expecting that getting there. You got to have a lot of money to live or stay in Aspen. It is very interesting. I think the average house, this is what somebody told me. I haven't fact checked this, so don't go out and be like, oh, Tyler's telling lies on the podcast. Somebody told me that the average house in that county is like $10 million. Would not surprise me one bit because we saw multiple houses that were, that one just sold for $78 million and that one sold for $108 million. Absolutely insane. My girlfriend and I were out there visiting my mom, who's out there for the summer with her husband and his family. And it was a great time. We did a lot of hiking. If you follow me on Instagram, you got to see some of the intense hikes that we did. We got our asses kicked. It was a lot of fun. But it was good. I mean, it was 6 days off the radar, which, as a business owner is not the easiest to do. So we really took advantage of it. I mean, hey, that's financial freedom right there. Being able to take 6 days off, go hang out with family, spend time hiking. Hosted my first webinar last week. So I got back from Aspen on Wednesday and that night hosted a webinar. It's the first ever webinar training that I've ever done. That was really cool. I had a lot of fun. I think we had 275 people register for that, which is just insane because all we did was send out a couple of emails to my email list. So pretty cool to see that we don't even have to advertise. If you guys want training, you guys are going to show up for it. So y'all stay tuned. We're going to do more webinars. We will have more trainings coming out for you that you can't get anywhere else. So that brings me to last night at Rossville at the city meeting. So, we bought Peerless Mill 2 years ago, and we haven't been able to make much progress on it. And I've kind of kept my mouth shut about what's really been going on behind closed doors because, unfortunately, when you get into development, you also have to play politics. And so I was playing very nicely, trying to work things out behind the scenes. And finally, I actually ended up having a meeting with the mayor yesterday of Rossville to talk to him about the project and what it's going to take for us to move forward, because I've been lied to. I've been told inconsistencies. And he ended up throwing me out of his office. I have never had that happen before. For those of you, I know a lot of y'all are just listening to the podcast. You don't know me in person. It takes a lot for me to yell and get angry. So I never do. And you would have thought that with him throwing me out of his office that I was yelling, getting angry. No, I wasn't. His office staff was all there. They witnessed the entire thing. So he basically told me if I had any questions, I could show up to the council meeting that night. So it's exactly what I did. I prepared for the rest of the day because that was in the morning. Council meeting was at 6 o'clock. Spent the rest of yesterday just preparing my talk. Put together an entire timeline of the project, what's been going on behind closed doors. And I wanted the citizens of Rossville to know what's going on because this is one of the biggest properties, if not the biggest property, in the city. And it was inflammatory to say the least. I was not the only person that was at this city meeting to complain about how the mayor has been conducting himself and running the city. I only had 5 minutes to talk since I was not officially on the agenda. I was just, comments from the public. So he ended up cutting my time short. Actually, it was about 4.5 minutes. I got cut off in the middle of a quote that he had given me. So it was interesting. There were probably 30 or 40 people there. We ended up staying afterwards. The people wanted me to finish my comments and tell them exactly what's been going on. Really, I've been lied to about zoning ordinances and variances that we need. I have been very upfront with the city about the changes that we need made that are hindering the project from moving forward in order for us to get this going. And, I don't know what the holdup has really been. I don't know why we've been treated this way, but the people weren't happy about it. I'm not happy about it. So it was, unfortunately had to share it publicly so that people could see what's going on. So that's where that is. I know there's going to be videos out there about it. Not from me. I did not show up with a camera crew. There was a camera crew there for something else that the mayor was in trouble for. They just so happened to catch this. So that's fun. Welcome to life as a commercial real estate developer, dealing with people, I guess. Chase Anthony saying, good morning, all. Hope you are well. Good morning, Chase. Thanks for joining us. Corey is saying, financial freedom for me would mean the ability to make enough to buy 80 to 200 acres in the mountains, be debt-free, and the ability to care for my aging parents. I love that, Corey. Man after my own heart. My girlfriend and I talk about this all the time. I would love nothing more than to have a few hundred acres in the mountains and just disappear. Once I can do that, take care of the rest of my family, you guys may never hear from me again. We'll see. Or maybe I'll just get a satellite and I'll run the podcast from the middle of nowhere. Cesar is saying, financial freedom through real estate for me looks like retiring my parents and being debt-free. That seems to be a big trend, right? Is I want to take care of my parents. I want to give back to my parents, and I want to make sure that I don't have any debt. I like that. Because, of course, in real estate, there's good debt and bad debt. But, you know what the best debt is? There's no debt. Cameron is saying, good morning, Tyler. Good morning, Cameron. Good to see you. Jorge, financial freedom. Work on all the crazy urban and social developments I have. I agree. right? We talked about this before. Cobble's hierarchy of needs. Actually, that was on Instagram. I'll have to probably show it to you guys here on YouTube at some point. But I put together, but if you've ever heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? It's like, you've got to get food and shelter first before you can start focusing on self-realization. But I came up with Cobble's hierarchy of needs, kind of playing off of that of commercial real estate, right? Like ground level, you gotta educate yourself, right? You gotta learn everything that you can about commercial real estate. Then you've got to just do your first deal, right? So I mean, there's a lot of but the pinnacle, right? The self-realization or self-actualization of the pyramid is socially forward developments. Projects like the Wash, projects that promote small businesses, that give back to neighborhoods, that like there's an apartment complex that my buddy is developing over off of Shelby and Fifth Avenue that he's partnered with a nonprofit on it. Right. So, I mean, it's things like that give back to the community that really take you kind of to the next level as a developer. All right, Cesar, question for you. Assuming you run into a lot of deals or opportunities, I kind of tend to come across a couple every now and then, and may not be able to be a part of all of them. How do you deal with the fear of missing out? Thank you for what you do. Absolutely, Cesar. Happy to do it. I love this stuff. I mean, we were in our 12 weeks to break into CRE last night. We're halfway through the 12 weeks to break into CRE first class, which was pretty cool. And so I was just telling them, like, I'm a commercial real estate nerd, man. Like, I just love talking about commercial real estate. I just love, people that want to talk about commercial real estate. It makes my life fun. So, when it comes to FOMO, here's the thing to remind yourself of is that every deal that you do actually prevents you from another deal. So you can have reverse FOMO. You might have FOMO for the next deal that you haven't touched yet. And what I have learned is that, let me frame this from the perspective that I am no longer in a situation to where I have to do a deal to make money. It's more about I have to do a deal to have the impact that I want to have or to do what I want to do, right? So I'm looking at deals from a bit of a different perspective. And to me, it's just like, what is so exciting that I have to go do that? And I haven't found anything here recently that kind of feels like that, honestly, which is why, a bunch of y'all that are listening to this podcast are investors of mine, and you've been reaching out like, hey, why haven't you bought anything? Why aren't you raising capital? Honestly, I haven't found anything that's super exciting. And I'm not going to do a deal just to do a deal. So what I'll say, Cesar, is that any deal that you do is going to prevent you from doing another deal. So I would say you got to have really good reasons as to why you're doing that deal. And it doesn't need to be just money. It can be just money. That's fine, right? It depends on what part of your career you're in, right? I mean, look, when I did my first deal, it was all about the cash flow. I didn't really care as much. Now I care a lot more about everything else. But I think that's kind of what I keep in mind when I'm going into these is that, I almost have the reverse FOMO of, man, I might miss out on the next really cool deal by doing this one. And also, there are so many deals out there, so many deals. There are more deals than you or I or everybody that listens to this show or this podcast could ever do. So many. And so, I got asked that a lot when I first started this. And like like in my commercial real estate mastermind, we share property addresses. We go into details on the property. And I have a very strict, like, no stealing deals policy. You will be kicked out of the mastermind because there are other deals. There are so many deals for you to do. If for us to properly analyze this deal, we've got to dive into the address, and I need to know a bunch of personal details about it. And everybody's comfortable sharing deals because of it. But it's weird because 10 years ago, nobody would have ever done that for me. Right? That environment didn't exist. Even at the brokerage firm that I started off with, I was very conscientious about the calls that I would have in the office because I was afraid of other people stealing the deals I was working on. So I am just creating the environment that I wish I had when I got started. So I don't know. I went off on a total tangent, man. I hope that helps. Chase is saying, honestly, that mayor must have zero idea about what's good for his city. Unreal. Sorry you're dealing with that, man. Chase, He ran unopposed. We'll leave it there. He didn't have anybody to run against, so I don't know that anybody necessarily voted for him. He just kind of was the guy that showed up. So that's interesting. I've never seen that happen before in a city. Kyle is saying financial freedom means enough money coming in to walk away from the air traffic shift work. Time freedom and the ability to bounce between Arizona, lake house, and farm. Continue helping investors invest. I love that, Kyle. Dude, Arizona, lake house, and farm. So Kyle's in the mastermind. He's got a farm up in the Pacific Northwest. So those are very different climates. And that would be really fun, switching out throughout the year, depending on what kind of weather you want. I love that. Jorge's saying, yes, we can impact lives. That is so cool. I completely agree. It's a lot of fun. Carl is asking me about sober living houses. Carl, that's a great question. So I have seen a few investors getting into sober living houses, not many. It's a niche of a niche, really. And if you can get in with the right groups and have the right certifications to do sober living, I think it's a phenomenal asset class to be in, because when you get into that niche of a niche, you're not going to have a lot of competition. And so if you can deliver a great product, then, unfortunately, you're going to, fortunately, but also unfortunately, you're going to stay full, right? Just because, there are a lot of people out there that need sober living. That's one of those things that you wish you didn't have to, but it is serving a great purpose, and you're helping people get back into the swing of their lives. So, yeah, I think sober living houses are great. From what I've seen, the returns can be phenomenal. Oftentimes, health insurance is paying for it, or, there's organizations that are paying for these people to be living in these sober living houses, or they have jobs, right? And they're just in between their permanent living and, where they were. So I'm a big fan of sober living. I honestly have not done any of it. I've never done it. I've talked to some people that have invested in sober living, but I don't know too much about it. I know that Brandon Turner has had some people on his Better Life podcast, I believe, that do sober living. So I would go check that out. Brandon's a phenomenal interviewer. Z-Fan Dragon Ball is saying, good morning, Tyler. I had a deal with a QSR franchise where they needed the earlier of 120 days after permit is issued or the date that the tenant is open. Is this time frame typical? They also wanted 120 days for due diligence. Not sure if this is usual when dealing with big food franchises. So, Z-Fan, I'm assuming you're saying they wanted to... Oh, it's 210 days after permit is issued. The earlier of 210 days after permit is issued or the date that the tenant opens. Yes. It's not uncommon, right? Because typically how they want to set it up is we want to come in and get all of the construction done, all of the branding, all of the marketing, hire our entire team before we really start paying rent and have to deal with expenses. So it's, I know it can be painful, but there are good reasons as to why a QSR would need that. What I would do if I were in your shoes, I think the earlier is better, right? Because sometimes they'll try and sneak it in and say, well, the later, we want to do the later. Well, if it takes them, if they open in 30 days and then it's later and they don't have to pay rent for 210 days, well, that's not fair to you, right? Because they're utilizing the property. So earlier is good. And 120 days for due diligence, especially if they're going to be signing a 10-year lease, not a big deal. What I would not do is allow them to have exclusive rights to the property for that 120 days. I would say, yeah, hey, we'll give you 120 days to do your due diligence. I'll provide you whatever materials you need. But if somebody else comes along to lease the space, it's theirs, right? Or at least you have to match it or beat it. So that's what I would say to that. I don't think it's uncommon. What I would do if I were in your shoes is I would bake that back into the lease, right? So if they're saying they want to do a 10-year lease, well, then I would say that we're going to add that 210 days to the back end of the lease, right? So it'll be a 10-year, 210-day lease. If you have any other questions on that, let me know. But that's how I would structure that deal. Carl is saying, Tyler, I'm going to be in Nashville next week. Can I meet up with you? Sure. Why not? Shoot me an email at the office@thecobblegroup.com, and we'll see. I should be around, so we'll schedule coffee. We'll make it happen. Nate is saying, what is the best way to create relationships with multifamily owners? Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. He's saying, I'm seeing a lot of deals being done through off-market relationships and want to be able to do that. So multifamily is a really interesting beast, so to speak. So what I would say is mailers are pretty good. They're more effective in commercial real estate because nobody sends mailers. But hey, if you want to take a shotgun approach, you got to send mailers. It's the cheapest, easiest way to reach a lot of people. Of course, going to like here in Nashville, we've got the GNAA, Greater Nashville Apartment Association. Join your local apartment association. Start getting in with the property managers. Property managers are the underworld of multifamily real estate because they know all the property owners. Those guys are already going out there and working with all of those guys. So see if you can get in with them and start building relationships with the property managers to build relationships with the multifamily owners. Because, I mean, one thing that you can also tell those property managers is, hey, as long as you're doing a good job on the property management side, if we end up buying any of these assets, we will keep you as the property manager. More often than not, a lot of multifamily buyers will bring their own property management team to the table. That doesn't necessarily mean that they own it, it's their team, but they've got a group they like working with. So when an apartment complex sells, then that property management company then has to go find another deal, right? So if you're coming in saying, hey, I want to buy these apartment complexes, but I'm going to keep you guys as the property manager, they may be willing to actually make those introductions, make it easier on you. Other than that, it's hanging out at ULI, getting in with the developers, just doing everything you can to spend time with those multifamily owners. Brokers are hands down the best way to start getting with multifamily owners because even if the deals are getting done off market, typically a broker has their hands in it, right? Because they'll move it off market. I mean, I saw a stat the other day that like 70 or 80% or higher of transactions in commercial real estate have a broker involved, right? So, I mean, even if it's going off market, I mean, I look at our brokerage and a bunch of the deals that we do that are off market, we're representing the buyer and the seller, and it never goes to market. But we're still involved because those guys are going out and finding them. So hope that helps. Cesar saying, man, I loved your answer. Thank you for that. And again, thank you for what you do. Of course, Cesar. That's what I'm here for, man. I love this stuff. Billy is saying, does triple net lease deals often come often? And is there any type of property in particular that attracts triple net deals more than others? So, I mean, Billy, I think what you're asking is, are there a lot of triple net deals out there? And are there any types of property that are more prone to being triple net? So there are a ton of triple net deals out there, a ton. It's a very common lease structure. The reason that we talk about it so much in commercial real estate for people that are transitioning into commercial real estate is because it's a separate, like it's just not common, right? Like you don't have a triple net lease in multifamily. You don't have a triple net lease in single family. It's something that's relatively unique to commercial real estate. So yes, it's very common. Most of my properties are on triple net leases. You could do a triple net lease on any type of property. Historically, it was a majority retail was triple net. And then we started seeing industrial going towards a triple net. And now we're even seeing office going towards a triple net structure. So I think that there's so many different types of properties that could actually benefit from that. And I love that lease structure. So I think, you can really do it on anything. It's just a way of writing a lease. It's kind of a way to look at that. Corey's saying, as someone preparing for a career change to commercial real estate, is there a service out there where someone with experience, such as yourself, can take some time to evaluate potential deals I find and validate? Great question, Corey. Yes, that is actually the majority of what we do in my CRE Accelerator mastermind. We were doing a bunch of deal reviews. We had a call, I guess, Monday night, so 2 nights ago. Sunday night, 2 nights ago, because I had we typically have them on Monday nights, but I had that city meeting. We dove into 3 deals that students are evaluating. So there's that. I mean, outside of, like, of course you could always do them yourself, but if you're looking for people to help you evaluate the deals, you could hire like third-party like deal valuation companies, they get very expensive though. So it just kind of depends on what you want. And then of course, if you've got partners, they'll be able to review them with you as well. But yeah, I mean, hey, if you're interested, come join the mastermind. It's an awesome group of people. AM is saying, Tyler, your videos are always an inspiration. AM, I appreciate that. I have fun making it. It's a lot of fun. So I'm glad to hear that. Cameron is saying, is it more difficult for a young broker to get approved for a loan for a small real estate deal, having lack of collateral and no guaranteed income? Cameron's saying, if so, what do you think about starting on small residential deals and building up capital before investing in commercial real estate? Cameron, here is the thing. Banks are not going to like you having 1099 no matter what you're trying to buy. So you might as well go big and go for commercial. I mean, here's the thing. Residential is so weird compared to commercial. I mean, I'll tell you guys this because now I've got a great credit score. But when I was first getting started back in 2019, when I started buying properties, I didn't have a credit score because I always paid cash for things, which, my thought process was this is a great thing to do. No, terrible, because you don't build up any credit. Well, when I started getting loans, it started dinging my credit for, they're running the credit reports or whatever. And so I had terrible credit, but I was still getting approved for commercial real estate loans. I went in 2020 to get this. Keep in mind, it's 2 years in, right? Like at this point, I own $4 or $5 million worth of commercial real estate. I go to get approved to buy a house. I think it was like a $650,000 house. And I got denied from everyone. They're like, yeah, absolutely not. So like I could buy $5 million worth of commercial real estate. I could not buy a $650,000 house. How that makes any sense in the world, I have no idea, but residential is just a different beast. But here's the thing, Cameron, when you're first getting started, highly recommend you find a partner anyway. So go find a partner that has done commercial real estate before. That's what I did. I borrowed somebody else's balance sheet. When I bought my first deal, I didn't have any money. I didn't have any assets. I was a broker, so I had no guaranteed income. And but my partners, one was a doctor, one was another real estate developer. The bank fell over themselves to give us a loan, right? So worked out really well for all of us. Made some good money. AM is saying, what would be the typical fee that the wholesaler could attach for a commercial deal without sounding greedy? AM, that's a great question. I mean, the good thing is about commercial real estate, like I was having this conversation with a buddy the other day. I think it was actually one of our mastermind members. And it was, I don't care if you're getting the property for $200,000, you're marking it up $1 million in a wholesale fee if it's worth $2 million, right? Like that's the thing. Great on you. You found a phenomenal deal for $200,000. You're getting it for 1.2, but I'm getting a $2 million value. We all win, right? Like that's killer. So that's kind of how I look at it. It's more of, it's not necessarily is the fee too big, is there enough value in this deal to justify it? I don't care if a wholesaler makes 6 or 7 figures on a deal. Good for you. Good for you. Go find more as long as I'm getting the value. So I hope that makes sense. Carl is saying, I'll bring the boudin. Carl, don't threaten me with a good time. My office manager is from Baton Rouge, so we would love that. Tony is saying, I'm structuring an absolute triple net lease deal that we are developing as a build-to-suit model. I can't get into specifics on the tenant we're placing there, but I'll say it's going to be badass. Do you still offer an option to book a call with you to review a project? Tony, that's exciting, man. That sounds really cool. I love build-to-suits. They're really tough to do nowadays because most tenants are like, I want to be in yesterday. But if you can get it done, awesome. Yes, I do. I will do deal reviews. I'm trying to think of like the best place to it's calendly.com/TylerCobble/30min. So like 30 men, or 30 minutes. But yeah, I mean, you're welcome to do that, or just shoot me an email, office@thecobblegroup.com, and I'll get you guys the link. I'm happy to dive into that deal with you and see what you got. Guys, I know we've got a ton of questions. Unfortunately, we are out of time. It is 9 o'clock, and I've got to run to Salt Ranch. So go check out my Instagram if you guys want to see some updates on what we've got going on over there. If you enjoyed these videos, give me a thumbs up. We love the likes. Leave me a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you're listening to this. And if I wasn't able to answer your question, please redo the question in the permanent comments on this video, and I promise you I will get you an answer. We'll see you guys in the next one. Are you looking to take the next step toward investing in commercial real estate but don't know where to go? CRE Central offers a comprehensive education and coaching platform designed to help you get started. Our online courses cover a wide range of topics, from the fundamentals to advanced strategies, ensuring you have the knowledge and skills needed to thrive in this competitive industry. As a member, you'll gain access to our exclusive online community and monthly group coaching calls, providing you with valuable networking opportunities and personalized guidance from experienced professionals. Whether you're a beginner or looking to take your career to the next level, CRE Central has the resources you need. Visit www.crecentral.com to learn more.